Everyone kind of treats the Adeptus Mechanicus like some kind of sidekick of the Imperium, like just sitting on Mars, but really they're one of the most kind of like dangerously quiet factions in Warhammer 40K. The Fabricator General on Mars is pretty much the main reason for it, okay? So this is the individual who controls the forges of Mars, the Titan legions, the flow of weapons, the void ships, and just all the ammunition that keeps the Imperium breathing. During the Horus Heresy, the position itself became a fault line that split the Mechanicum in two, with Kelbor-Hal throwing his weight behind Horus and dragging half of Mars into open rebellion. Ever since, the Fabricator General has been one of the High Lords of Terra, which means this robed priest of circuitry effectively has a hand on the Imperium's throat. Every war, every crusade, and every kind of desperate last stand runs on the machinery that he oversees. So the Adeptus Mechanicus claims that innovation is heresy and all that stuff, then along comes Belisarius Cawl and just basically poos all over that rule right in front of their face. So Cawl is the Archmagos who spent 10,000 years tinkering in secret, stockpiling forbidden knowledge, and quietly building an army upgrade the Imperium didn't even know that it needed, really. He is the architect behind the Primaris Space Marines, unveiled during the Indomitus Crusade at Reboot Guilliman's side. For a priesthood that treats ancient blueprints like Holy Scripture, Cawl's willingness to improve on the Emperor's work borders on blasphemy. He experiments with alien tech, hoards fragments of lost STCs, and has multiple consciousnesses layered inside his own skull. Some in the Mechanicus whisper that he has crossed lines that can never be uncrossed. Others know that without him, the Imperium would already be ashes. The Adeptus Mechanicus has these kind of like Five Nights at Freddy's looking robot things called Kastelan robots, and they get sent into battle. They are leftovers from the dark age of technology, right? So they're built so long ago that nobody truly understands how they think. They do not receive commands the way modern machines do. Instead, a tech priest physically slots in a tiny data wafer called a doctrina, which locks the robot into a specific behavioral pattern. Once that wafer is in place, the Kastelan follows its instructions with absolute stubborn devotion, even if the battlefield changes around it. There are recorded instances where a robot kept firing at a target long after the war had shifted elsewhere. To the Mechanicus, that is not a flaw, it is purity. The machine does exactly what it was told, without doubt or hesitation, like a metal saint marching through gunfire. You know how worship is kind of banned in the Imperium? Well, the Adeptus Mechanicus kinda don't really give a damn. See, the Adeptus Mechanicus don't just maintain machines in Warhammer 40k, it worships the machines. The Cult Mechanicus teaches that the machine god is real, that the Omnissiah walks in flesh, and that every spark of circuitry carries a fragment of divinity. To a tech priest, a malfunctioning reactor is not a technical issue, it is a spiritual crisis. Ritual chants accompany routine maintenance. Sacred oils are applied with the same reverence as holy water. They believe the Emperor is the Omnissiah incarnate, the living avatar of their machine god, which is why Mars aligned itself with Terra in the first place. This faith runs so deep that recovering a lost fragment of ancient technology can feel like uncovering a saint's relic. Strip away the red robes and mechanodentries, and you will find a full-blown religion built around the idea that knowledge is holy and steel is sacred. Have you ever misplaced an SD card with some private photos on? Well, the Adeptus Mechanicus will launch entire crusades over a single fragment of lost data just like that, and that obsession has a name, the Standard Template Construct. STCs are ancient human databases from the dark age of technology, designed to let colony worlds build anything they needed, from farming tools to war machines. In the current era, most of them are shattered beyond recognition, surviving only as partial printouts or corrupted schematics. When a complete STC is discovered though, it can reshape sectors overnight. The recovery of an STC for the humble Rhino transport granted its discoveries a governorship and eternal prestige. For the Mechanicus, these relics are holy scripture made of code. They will strip planets bare, displace populations, and bleed armies dry just to secure one intact fragment. To them, rediscovering technology is so much more than just archaeology, it's all about divine revelation. The Adeptus Mechanicus pretty much use old Lego Bionicle figures at this point. That's how much trust they put into this old tech, okay? The Legio Cybernetica is where things get really weird. These are the tech priests who command battle automata, ancient robots whose origins stretch back to the dark age of technology. The Thanatar, the Castelan, the Kastelan class. These machines fight with a kind of cold obedience that makes even Space Marines uneasy. During the Horus Heresy, entire companies of Cybernetica constructs turned on their former masters when Mars split, proving just how dangerous autonomous war engines can be. After that civil war though, strict controls were placed on their use, and many patterns were locked away as too risky. Even so though, when the Mechanicus truly wants something erased, something utterly destroyed, it unleashes these relics of the bygone era. They do not hesitate or question things, they simply execute their program until nothing remains. Hey, if you thought wearing glasses was annoying, wait till you hear about the Adeptus Mechanicus' Skitarii legions, okay? So they do not field soldiers in the same way the Astra Militarum does. They field experiments. The Skitarii are not just troops with better gear, they are rebuilt from the inside out. They start at the inside of the body and replace limbs and organs and stuff with servo-driven augmetics. Eyes get swapped for targeting arrays. Nervous systems get rewired so orders transmit as bursts of data rather than shouted commands. A Skitarii Ranger can march through radiation that would melt a normal human, and still fire with mechanical precision. On Forge worlds like Mars and Metalica, entire populations are tithed into these ranks, their humanity gradually traded for efficiency. Some Skitarii barely speak, their personalities shaved down to leave room for command protocols. They are loyal because they are engineered to be, not because they want to be. When they advance across a battlefield in perfect synchronized steps, it feels less like an army and more like a factory line that learned how to kill. Have you heard of the Dragon of Mars in Warhammer 40K? The Adeptus Mechanicus built its entire faith on Mars, and buried beneath that red planet though is a secret that sounds like heresy, even by 40k standards. Deep within the Noctis Labyrinthus lies the being known as the Dragon of Mars, widely implied to be a shard of the Catan called the Void Dragon. According to legend, the Emperor defeated this star god during the medieval era of Terra, and imprisoned it on Mars long before the Imperium ever existed. That's right, where there were kings and queens and swords and knights and horses and stuff, the Emperor was around killing dragons. The Mechanicum later settled the planet, of course, unaware that their machine god might have been whispering from a prison beneath their feet. Some texts hint that their instinctive reverence for technology stems from the dragon's influence. If that is true, then the Adeptus Mechanicus is not just worshipping the Omnissiah, it may have been shaped by a shattered god of living metal all along. If you're an orc chilling on a planet and you see the Adeptus Mechanicus bring out the Ordinatus engine, it's already too late. The Adeptus Mechanicus does not always send titans when it wants something destroyed, you see. Sometimes it rolls out an Ordinatus engine, and that is when things get apocalyptic. These are not mass-produced war machines, though. Each Ordinatus is a singular relic, built around one absurdly powerful weapon system and treated like a holy artifact, just like they do with a lot of other things. During the Horus Heresy, Ordinatus engines were deployed to break fortifications that even Titan legions struggled to crack. Ordinatus Armageddon carried a Nova Cannon capable of leveling entire city sectors in a single blast. Others mounted graviton imploders or macro lasers designed to punch through continental defenses. They are so rare and so sacred that they are only awakened for wars of extreme importance. When an Ordinatus fires, though, it is less like artillery and more like a god slamming its fist into the surface of a world. Imagine if your Roomba turned evil and started eating up your rugs and stuff like that. The Adeptus Mechanicus is not a monolith of loyalty, you see. The Dark Mechanicum is the proof. During the Horus Heresy, half of Mars betrayed the Emperor, embracing the Chaos Gods and twisting technology into blasphemous forms. These traitor tech priests did not just make demonic machines, they went a bit further, okay? So they fused flesh and steel in ways that still make loyal Mechanicus priests shiver. Obliterators, demon engines, and the feared Defiler tanks are all legacies of their experiments. Even centuries later, secret cults and renegade forces maintain this forbidden knowledge, occasionally unleashing horrors that resemble more demon than machine. For any of those who think that the Dark Mechanicum is just a kind of military strength, oh no, it's more than that. They are a philosophical challenge. They're a reminder that knowledge without faith or faith without loyalty can become a weapon far deadlier than any gun. The Adeptus Mechanicus believes their machines have souls, so that's pretty scary, right? Every vehicle, gun, and reactor carries a machine spirit, as they call it. It's kind of like a quasi-conscious presence that must be respected, appeased, and occasionally whispered to. Tech priests enter what they call the noosphere, a psychic network of knowledge where the thoughts of machines, spirits, and priests merge into one. Within this kind of weird realm space, a single skilled Enginseer can sense falling engines across an entire battlefield, hear a titan's circuits scream in agony, or even coax an ancient robot to fight differently than its programming intended. Outsiders call it superstition. The Mechanicus calls it communion, just something safe and nice. To them, ignoring the machine spirit is more than careless, it's a sacrilege. And in the grim darkness of the 41st millennium, a furious machine spirit can kill just as easily as a las cannon. Because the Adeptus Mechanicus' machines break so bloody much because they're so bloody ancient, they ride into battle as living repair stations. Tech priests, or Enginseers, they're called, wade into the front lines, flanked by Skitarii or Titans, but they're carrying sacred tools and arcane devices that can revive dying war machines mid-combat. This does so much more than just kind of like patch up holes with the occasional bolt though, okay? So they perform rituals over engines in the middle of a battle, whispering to the machine spirit, adjusting servo motors with surgical precision, and sometimes sacrificing a limb or two to save a titan from destruction. On some battlefields, a single Enginseer can turn the tide simply by keeping the Adeptus Mechanicus' war engines alive, while enemy fire tears through infantry and armor alike. For a faction obsessed with machines, these priests are the lifeblood that keep iron and ceramite moving, their presence as vital as the weapons themselves. I only just learned that the Adeptus Mechanicus go further than Mars. I thought they were literally just that one planet, but no, they go on to forge worlds, like Metalica, for example, just entire planets devoted to war production and war itself. Metalica has been locked in perpetual conflict for centuries. There's fighting literally on the surface of the planet where they make all this stuff. Its surface is a hellscape of smelting furnaces and artillery bombardments, with Skitarii patrols just shooting everything it sees. Entire cities are factories and entire continents are assembly lines, and the Mechanicus wages wars to test new machines as much as to expand territory. Some members of the Imperium call it craziness, but for the priests of Metalica, this is just pure devotion to why they exist. Every battle is a data point or a thing to learn from. Every skirmish is a ritual to kind of get closer to their great machine god, the Omnissiah. And every victory is sacred proof that the Omnissiah provides guidance in the first place. Here, war is worship, and the planet itself seems to pulse with mechanical life. Metallica does so much more than just producing weapons. It lives and breathes and fights weapons for the Adeptus Mechanicus. Some tech priests in the Adeptus Mechanicus are heretical as hell, okay? They claim to only revere human science. Oh no, they try to hunt Xenos technology with a fanaticism that borders on obsession, basically. Alien weaponry and vehicles and data matrices that all come through non-human contact. Some recovered devices are studied, reverse engineered, and eventually integrated into the Imperium's arsenals, but not without controversy. There are whispered stories of tech priests who vanish for decades while experimenting on Xenos artifacts, returning with machines that blur the line between miracle and monstrosity. To the hardline Imperium members, it's incredibly reckless and heretical, but to the Mechanicus, it is just a necessary part of what they do. It's the Omnissiah's will above all, remember. The Omnissiah's will was founded in innovation, no matter its origin. Breaking the rules becomes part of the faith when survival depends on it. Is there anything that can defeat a Chaos Space Marine dreadnought? Yeah, a goddamn robot as big as a skyscraper. Welcome to the Titans, okay? The Titans are colossal war machines that dwarf entire city blocks, and control over them is a game of power unlike anything else in the Imperium. Each Forge world feels its own Titan legions, and Mars itself has seen near civil war over which faction the Mechanicus commands these metal behemoths. Titans are living fortresses with pilots and tech priests working together to turn them into unstoppable engines of destruction. During the Horus Heresy, rival legions of Titans clashed on Martian plains, vaporizing entire regiments in minutes. Even today, the politics of Titan deployment shapes Imperial strategy, because losing control over few war beasts can decide the fate of entire sectors. The Adeptus Mechanicus uses Titans because they are symbols of authority, faith, and absolute mechanical supremacy.